The prominent Cherub Institute is inviting you to enroll for its January intake in nursing. The place to be for nursing is enrolling for its January intake registered nursing diploma for 3 years, abridged EN to RN distance program for 1 year. Get an application form now at a non-refundable fee of 150 kwacha. The prominent Cherub Institute is accredited with the General Nursing Council of Zambia. Register now with this upstanding institution by calling 0978 435 853 or 0763 865 035 or 0955 617 872 or visit www.prominentcherubinstitute.edu.zm. We are located in Lusaka west of Mungu Road next to ZNS Sopelo Camp. Come and get your nursing qualification from a reliable institution and make your future and that of the world better. Prominent Cherub Institute, the place to be for nursing.
Ati kukasisi kulima ploti yogola. Kukasisi, you can afford to your dealer. Just bring your body, let's make a party. Celebrate your achievements.
It's no longer. To clear it, inflation rate falls. 2 PF constituencies election results upheld. My name is Saidlis Nkonjera to present you with the details. Now, while still drowning in an election petition euphoria, Shiwangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo has issued a scathing attack on President Hakainde Hichilema, accusing him of inconsistencies. The Shiwangandu lawmaker notes with disappointment that the president has terribly failed to live by his election pledges. Mr. Kampyongo says the president, Hichilema, should live by his words if he is to be judged well by the Zambian people. He charges most Zambians are still not clear whether to trust Mr. Hichilema and his New Dawn administration or not, looking at what he terms questionable performance in terms of fulfilling most of his major campaign promises. Mr. Kampyongo, who is also former Home Affairs Minister, as well as opposition PF Parliamentary Chief Whip, expresses concern that most farmers are yet to receive their farming inputs.
Quanto batia chika la pansaka? Musha kwena finga fiashere finga mwalite mwa. Zambia. Leo na liswe na no mwasa kamene mwale salika. Mwale pepela po na mapepo yenu ya chitashani. Ala na ine nolo ndeyo ku aba bantu baletuwe po bufyaba bachenga bupela aba twashime ko buteko bantu tubashime bekwena baletilo omufunda bageza chita 250 ibo taturavuma pa buteko omufunda kale twaleta nomba tumfire bale susula ko bale tumule ko wale muletera nembalala nembuto na shimbi tumfira tina abafunya amataba wala kuma kuteti ino ntanga walikola usema walikola ala tukuna alianuka.
Meanwhile, the High Court sitting in Chinsali, Muchinga Province, has upheld the Mfue and Chama South constituency election results. The court has dismissed the petition for Mfue constituency election results, with Maureen Mawonga declared as the duly elected Member of Parliament, with costs on the petitioner. Davidson Mungandu was also declared duly elected Member of Parliament for Chama South constituency. And in solidarity with the victorious MPs, opposition PF Parliamentary Chief Whip Stephen Kampiongo described the outcome as timely, asking the UPND administration to now focus on progressive ventures.
That for the second time I've been declared duly elected. What the message that I want to send to the people out there, and especially my petitioner, is that elections are not won in a court of law. Elections are won in a ballot. I won on the 12th August, and I've won again in court, which shows to say the people of Mfuwe, they had somebody in mind they wanted to be their leader. And unfortunately for him, at this point, I happen to be that leader that the people chose. So I think I can also advise him to say, let's move on. Okay, let's move on and focus on development. All of us, when we enter in politics, it's because we want to see development in our respective constituencies. It's not about fights every day. If people never elected me, I was going to accept. Other people accepted. Even the person who came out number 2 from me accepted. What about him who came out number 3? It is a shock that he dragged me to court when he came out number 3. And for that matter, he's a man, and I'm winning a man for the second time. So, at this point, I advise him to somewhere else. So it's never easy. We are fought. I can assure you, even during campaigns, we were looked down upon by our men folk. Like I've just mentioned earlier on, he was saying, you know, I'll find her in the field. But luckily for me, I had to prove myself to say I'm not different from a man. What a man can do, I can also do. So I went ahead and I tried, and luckily for me, I'm successful. So my advice to the women is that they should not shun politics. They should not shun politics, and we are only going to sort out these issues of women, you know, shunning politics if we have good numbers even in parliament and everywhere. And as women, we know our own problems. We know what we go through. So it is only a woman who can come up with solutions to our own problems.
Now, the PF's tally of lost seats has now gotten to 8, with the latest seat being from Northern Province. Joining us on phone to discuss the outcome of a petition in Northern Province of the Kasama seat is Helen Chisha. Helen, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Mr. Gonjela?
I am well, thank you. Tell us about today's situation there in Kasama.
Okay, so today there was a final judgment of a case for Kasama Central, which was involving Madam Sibongile Mwamba, who was the PF candidate, and Mr. Roderick Chewe, who was the UPND candidate, where Mr. Chewe petitioned the PF candidate that the elections were not free and fair, and accusing of malpractices and other things, such as buying of votes, then distribution of meal, then also telling voters that if they voted for a UPND candidate and the UPND president, then they will be removed from social cash transfer, and for farmers, they won't have land where they should continue cultivating. So those were some of the issues that were presented before the court. So in passing judgment, Madam Emery Sungutu nullified the seat, stating that the evidence that were presented before the court had proved beyond reasonable doubt. So the seat, the Kasama Central seat, has been nullified.
All right. Now,
that happened today.
As you were there, was the former MP for Kasama Central, present, and what was her reaction, if she was?
Okay. The Kasama Member of Parliament wasn't present, and most of the people that were just there is the UPND side. We only saw about 2 to 3 PF PF has been supporters at the court premises, but after some time, they just went like they were nowhere to be seen. So the madam wasn't present, even the people from the PF side were not present, but only the UPNG were present at the court premises.
What was the reaction of the petitioner?
The petitioner said that he has done this and is very happy over the outcome, and he wants the elections, as they will be held in the coming months, to be free and fair, and that's how he wants Zambia to be. He wants things to be free and fair, as even as they will have elections just in the coming months for the same seat.
All right. Would it be very difficult for now to know the position of the Member of Parliament for Kasama Central as to whether she is willing or ready to, take this matter to the Constitutional Court for appeal?
For now, no, but we are yet to get a reaction on the outcome of the results.
All right. Helen,
and we'll give you more updates.
Helen, thank you very much for joining us on the desk.
Thank you very much.
All right. You're watching the news on Muvi television. Now, the Democratic Party's Justin Nkonge and Judith Kabemba-led faction has welcomed the wave of nullification of parliamentary seats witnessed in the opposition Patriotic Front strongholds. In an interview with Muvi TV, Mr. Nkonge says instead of the former ruling party crying foul on the nullification of some of its seats, the leaders in the party should accept that Zambians rejected them through the ballot. He states the violence that the High Court judges are attributing the nullifications to was witnessed by all Zambians and is not a myth, as others are claiming.
Commenting on the nullifications, I think so far they have reached how many? 8 or 7? 7 constituencies have so far been nullified. I think people have been following. I have judgment for Honorable Bowman Lusambo. I went through it, and you know what our colleagues, the PF, did. They went and changed the Electoral Process Act, and they made it so difficult for an election to be nullified. One of the things that is found in the Electoral Process Act, for someone to have their elections, for someone to prove beyond reasonable doubt that there were malpractices, is to link the malpractices to the candidate themselves, in short to the respondent, the person who has been sued. But to say these nullifications are targeting the PF, they are not targeting them. And besides, those are the people who are doing malpractice, that our colleagues were doing all sorts of things in order to win elections, including Edgar Lungu did a lot of gymnastics, but it just couldn't work. So these nullifications, I think for me, they are welcome. But when you talk about by-elections, I think by-elections as a country is something that we need to look at properly. As in DP, we have a position. We have elections. Like, for example, if a party won in the past elections, that party won the seat. Why not just sit down and look for somebody else, and then they go take them to parliament the way they do in South Africa? I think we need to change the electoral process in that.
President Hakainde Hichilema says Zambians are already talking on the need to recover what was stolen from them. President Hichilema, who sympathized with those who are criticizing him for talking with less action in the recovery exercise, however, cautions that it shouldn't be done in a methodical manner. President Hichilema has reiterated that justice in a decent country is of paramount importance, especially to ordinary people. President Hichilema says justice should be dispensed in a fair, expeditious, and equitable manner at all times. He underscored the importance of accountability in the conduct of those dispensing justice on a daily basis. President Hichilema says there is a general perception that judges are above the people, saying ordinary people should be placed above everybody else. The president has also complained of prolonged court processes and frivolous adjournments, leading length detentions, thus denying an opportunity to those incarcerated to receive fair justice. Mr. Hichilema says due to the outpouring conditions in the cells, each day translates to almost a year. And the president has called for the automation of the Ministry of Lands to avoid challenges in the administration of land. He was speaking at State House when he swore in 20 government officials comprising a judge and permanent secretaries.
With regard to public resources, management of public affairs, we should not continue doing the wrong things that have gone on for the last 10 years. What is wrong became the norm. I'm talking about expenditure control. As we sit here, two things are standing in the way of economic recovery, if I may say so. Let me rephrase this way. Two things stand me, but two critical things. One is a debt mountain, choking resources of citizens, taking away meal allowances from students, debt service. The second thing relates to us, to you, public expenditure, runaway public expenditure. What I said last week, because you were not here. Maybe you didn't hear it properly. We are dealing with a debt mountain. This morning, just this morning, I had a meeting with our debt advisors, Lazard. Our 1 hour or less than 1 hour's conversation revealed things that even if you have a stone heart, you say this is not right. You as permanent secretaries, those before you, were paying for services never received and intended not to be received, but you paid. You've put your signature there. Your colleagues put a signature to pay, to effect payment for goods and services that were never received and intended never to be received. You're talking about millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. And as we move to recover those assets, people are making noise and calling it a different name. What you do in a situation like that is to recover that money. But Zambians are saying, HH is talking too much. We want the money recovered. Indeed. Indeed. No question about it. Make no mistake about it. But we are doing it the right way. That's why even this morning's meeting was necessary, to compare notes. But that was never going to be necessary if the permanent secretaries did not pay for things that were never delivered. Then tomorrow, you want to do the same. You want to do the same, and you expect your colleagues to be quiet about it. If we are quiet, some people are quiet, I am not one of them. And I know there are millions of Zambians who will be watching. You don't need this lecture from me. It must be inherent in you. That's why you have accepted this role. I know some of you aspire to do what those who were there 10 years were doing. It won't happen. You do it once, twice.
And on the judiciary, President Hakainde Hichilema is optimistic that the judiciary will start to function in a manner that meets the aspirations of the people, reflecting on the decision they made of change in the August 12, 2021 general elections. On permanent secretaries, President Hichilema has asked those appointed to ensure that the right things are done in their respective portfolios in the management of public affairs. He regrets that in the last 10 years, government and management of public resources were littered with abnormalities. He says currently the huge country's foreign debt and runaway public expenditure are hindering the country's goal to revive the economy.
Provides for the Bill of Rights. In there sits the right to be heard. When a citizen is aggrieved, they have a right to go to court, a competent court in our jurisdiction, and the court must hear them. I don't like using my experiences to end with me. The rest of the citizens shall be heard by the courts. This message I'm not delivering to the judge in front of me alone. Acting Chief Justice is to everybody on the bench. Please hear our people and dispense with their business in court. Then we can decongest the detention centers. We can decongest the police magistrates. Once in a while, they must visit police cells. They must visit correctional facilities and see for themselves what's going on there. I hope you do it quickly, because very soon we are cleaning up those places anyway. So you may not see what I wish you to see. Go there before we get there ourselves. Then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Madam, we wish you the best on the bench. We wish you the very best. We believe that you will act accordingly. Permanent secretaries, shall I include?
Meanwhile, President Hakainde Hichilema says Zambia remains indebted for European Union support towards the economy and governance issues which benefit the general citizenry. Mr. Hichilema says his ambition is to improve the economy through private investment that will spur growth in the long term. The president was speaking when the EU delegation called on him at State House on Thursday morning, where he stressed his commitment to recover assets lost after peace that it intends to strengthen. Jacek Jankowski says the EU has been inspired by President the EU delegation, where His Excellency Francois Goldblatt from France, His Excellency Antonino Maggiore from Italy, His Excellency Emmanuel Lundin, the political officer, Sweden, His Excellency Pergio Somela of Finland, and His Excellency Dr. Her Excellency Dr. Anne Wagner Mitchell from Germany. You're watching the news. We take a short break. Join us on the other side for more stories.
Bet your way with Betway.
Yo, Banji! I'm not sure. How come your crop is far much better than mine? I mean, we are neighbors. My farm is right next to yours.
My dear, this is an open secret.
Tell me.
I switched to Sidco ever since. My harvest has been good.
Sidco?
Sidco has got the right seed for every farmland.
Sure.
See, my friend, I'm telling you, just contact them and find out which is the right seed for you.
Increase your yield this season by using Seedco Climate Smart Seeds. Call or visit your nearest Seedco depot for more details on our Climate Smart products. Seedco, it starts with the right seed.
I woke up feeling great, need a kick for the day, got a taste that is keeping me awake. Something fresh, something true, unforgettable, something new I can trust as my interest all the way. So when I wake up, can't get enough, every day, ever with tea, years of perfection bring satisfaction. Think milk, think Finta.
On the pitch of life, you've got to choose your game and who you play with. Your people. You get what I mean?
Oh, that is so true, Mr. Easy.
Because when you need a bit of support, there's the people you can count on. People who are there for you, no matter what.
Guess we are always here for them.
Choose who to play with.
With Bet Power, you can chat, message, or call real people round the clock. This advertisement is brought to you by Bet Power.
Lack of education among some traditional leaders in rural areas has been cited as a major contributor to the escalating levels of early marriages and teenage pregnancies. Jennifer Mwanandulubi Mukuni, a community volunteer educationalist on the dangers of early marriages and teenage pregnancies, notes headmen who are supposed to be frontliners are perpetuating the scourge. Ms. Muguni says all efforts to address the challenge will be an exercise in futility.
Intelligence counts a lot. Kambo uti muntu who is not intelligent. Takwa ivuka kweta kambo ku police. Ipugu likete bana balachatwa mu munzi. Ibana balamita balalia ipulo bantu. Bina ngwega mwite ipugu kuti wanyamuka wankabwe wojita report. Instead the guy is saying voluntary. Chindaga yanchite inkambo kabobe mbwebe status yanga HIV positive. I'm carrying the wave of HIV people. Abana nko bali HIV nongajira ndijima utalo kuti wajana kuti mwana uli HIV positive uweza musamu kweli. Alimi is my client. Bora bamuli WG pro ndainga kuoba kantelinga kujana mwiga. Ikotu litoba mwino tuli abite. Ndiza baba bamaga into bali 6. Gabalangiri baunka yeje ndi batola ku mami report. Ndagambije bali kuseka bamwami moze ndagambije kino tukusokusa iti somewhere area ko batasiri baha maundu. It's very easy kuti bayivu information ngaise toba maga into ndiswe twajimwa no tula tukubadde. Kwali masimu tete ndali lwaja kujita. Namebobya ngulumende new doni. Kuti kigwa hayi ndipe honi. Abangwe bantu ko bali bagete bana bayinto mu
Sincere apologies for that abrupt cut in transmission. This was due to a technical glitch here at base. We continue with the news. Now, lack of education among some traditional leaders in rural areas has been cited as a major contributor to the escalating levels of early marriages and teenage pregnancies. Jennifer Mwanandalubi Mukuni, a community volunteer, educationalist on the dangers of early marriages and teenage pregnancies, notes will be in an exercise in
Counts a lot. HIV positive, I'm carrying the way of HIV people. Abana nkoba libali HIV nonga jirandi jima utaroji da wajana uti mwana uli HIV positive uweza musamu kweli. Alimi is my client. Langiri ya baunka yejoji ndi batola kumami report. Ndagambi tebayi kuseka bamwami moza ndagambi jino tupaso tusindinga tatubina. Kamba kolo kubaga paso ndipo naboti mbaga paso mbasangwa baro. No information gaise toba maga ndiswe twajimwa no tulaba nabachatwa. No ndiswe twajimwa abantu waja kujita. No mebobya ngulumende inyu doni. Kutigirwa hayi ndipe honda. Nkeyo tanta marundu babangwe bantu ko bali bagete bana bayonto mu nzu. Bamawe hali bagweza amali. Pona ino bana bati ngomene mbani pona ndalira kuba ibuku kwesukwa mwa kuti babambe ma ntoro kube development ngoba libana bati jani na mutawu ngambo kula kwina muntu bala akasike kwa mungu kunyine.
The annual inflation rate for November has dropped by 1.8% from 21.1% to 19.3%. This is according to the latest Zambia Statistics Agency monthly bulletin. The status quo is due to the decrease in prices of food items and non-food items. Interim Statistician General Mulenga Musepa says the decrease of inflation was driven by price reductions in both food. He says the food inflation decreased to 25.4% from 28.1% in October 2021, mainly due to price decrease in food items such as cereals, meat, and vegetables. Economist Trevor Hambai says reducing the cost of living will not be done immediately due to economic factors such as inflation and the country's debt that remain inflation rate, and attracting an International Monetary Fund bailout package to restructure the country's debt. Speaking to Muvi TV News, Ms. Hambai says citizens should be patient with the government as it works at economic fundamentals to kickstart productivity in the economy. He was commenting on sentiments by Bank of Zambia Governor Danny Kalialia, who suggested fuel and electricity tariffs need to be adjusted upwards to prevent an economic catastrophe.
Economist Trevor Hambai has charged that government cannot reduce the high cost of living in the short term due to high inflation and the country's huge debt. Commenting on the likeliness of the country to increase fuel and electricity tariffs, Mr. Hambai says improving the economy will take time.
It's a gradual process that they need to go through, and one of the key issues around this is basically to be able to spend. This is not going to happen in the short term.
He says government should therefore implement the said adjustments strategically while putting in place incentives to support growth in the private sector.
I think from the general populace, the Zambians must be patient for this to be attained. But in having to hold this patience, government must be implementing the right strategy, which is when they actually have to do the price increase on moving the subsidies. And the gradual increase is going to give mitigating factors to business entities that have been affected both by COVID, as well as making available capital for the SMEs and the private sector to invest into the economy.
And NH expert Johnston Chikwanda has backed the move to remove subsidies on fuel and electricity tariffs, stating that it has been long overdue.
Now we are talking of almost 400 million kwacha. 400 million kwacha. Within the next 7 months, this amount of money is going to be 4 billion kwacha gone to subsidies. What is it that can suffer when you have subsidies at this level? It will mean that government has to shift money from other allocations to fuel subsidies. 4 billion kwacha within the next 7 months. That is more than even the total allocation to Constituency Development Fund, because Constituency Development Fund allocation is 3.3 billion kwacha. All of it can get swallowed to fuel subsidies within the next 7 months if you add the total spend that will have gone to subsidies.
For Muvi TV News, I'm Afias Kaptulaka.
The banking sector has been called upon to scale up their financing towards infrastructure development in the country. Olwa Shagalima says banks are well placed to offer solutions such as financing of construction of projects in the country. Mr. Shagalima explains his bank is keen on being part of infrastructural development the New Dawn government is planning to roll out across the country.
Very close to what we do as a bank. Given that they're involved in the construction sector and supporting other sectors. This year particularly, their theme is very compelling because it talks about smart cities. And it's something that we do associate with as a bank. From us, we want to do smart financing and smart banking, which is what has seen us to this stage. As most people would know, Investrust is a local bank having been in existence since 1996. And institutions such as these, where we have seen local entrepreneurs coming through this profession. They have done tremendous works in uplifting the standards of the construction sector, and we thought that as partners, since we support most of them in their individual capacity as well as in their business capacities, we could come in as one of the sponsors. So one of the bronze sponsors, this is so key to us because one of the and we're looking forward to some of the innovation that will come from the discussions that will be here. When different players discuss matters that affect them, then we come in as financiers to be able to support those initiatives going forward. We also heard from the Minister of Infrastructure, around some of the activities that are key to that ministry. So we'll be ready as a bank to be able to support, some of those initiatives that will come up, especially given the current challenges we have.
The news on Muvi television. We take our final break. When we are back, Zambia is still in the least developed countries bracket. Stay tuned.
Where's Bob? Anyone seen Bob? Has anyone seen Bob? 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 Bob?
Over here.
Where?
Over here.
How did you get in there?
With my Airtel Money MasterCard.
Airtel Money MasterCard? But you don't even have a bank account. How did you get a card?
Well, it's not a card, but it works just like one. It's virtual, so no plastic, and it's safer.
But what are you doing there?
I want to buy Nancy a birthday gift, book my flight tickets, renew my Big Click subscription, and order a shipment.
For all things online, the Airtel Money MasterCard. It's not a card, but works just like one. Get one on the Airtel Money menu on your phone.
Place a bet, search on the web, or get the app. OneXBet Bookmaker Company.
Muvi University College is enrolling students for the January-April 2022 intake in the following: School of Education, Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood Education, Bachelor of Education in Primary Education, Bachelor of Education in Secondary Education, Bachelor of Education in Special Education, Diploma in Early Childhood Education, Diploma